Hi there, this is a Single Malt review, and we have reached the end of what has been for us a busy Saturday afternoons filming. We've done at least 6 reviews today, so we want to relax with something a little more low-key, a little laid back.
Yeah, this is the part in the show where we're maybe slightly beginning to lose grip on reality. So we try to do something a bit less serious, a bit less thoughtful. I mean, we did an American beer last time. It was a really good beer, actually. You can check that out. The Oscar Blues 1050, that was the one. Good beer. This is going to be El Jimador Reposado Tequila.
Yes, we both enjoy a good tequila. El Jimador I've not had a lot of, but...
Well, it's my go-to tequila, really, if I want... I mean, I don't drink fine tequilas, largely because you just can't buy them in New Zealand, and they're bloody expensive for what you get if you're a Scotch drinker, when you consider it. But El Jimador, I do, because... prescriptive a tequila though it may be, it's by far the cheapest one, at least in our market, that is 100% agave. And I really don't like these Joven tequilas, mixto tequilas, whatever you want to call them. The ones that are sort of 51% agave spirit and the other half vodka. Those, I think, are just a little bit pointless. Why not have the real thing if you're having a tequila? Because it is very much a drink that's all about where it comes from. Being, of course, the blue agave plant, which I think is actually more related to a lily than anything else, so much for cactus juice.
Aloe, isn't it?
Yeah, I think something... Yeah. Well, it resembles an aloe, I don't know.
So it's the harvested, charred, then distilled down root, essentially,
they're
root bulb
they're
from the plant.
Baked, and it's more, they call them pinas or pinas.
Pina, yeah.
And it's not so much the root, it's more the body of the plant, I suppose. It's one of these long-lived plants, and I'm going to get vaguely scientific here, so skip ahead if you don't care about the science of blue agave, but it's one of these plants that has a very long lifespan. Because of the scarce resources of where it grows, it grows for years and years and years and years, and it stockpiles sugar its whole life for its one great effort of flowering, which it does once, and then it dies. It's one of those plants. So... the trick is to cultivate it and get it before it gets to the whole flowering stage, and then all that sugar that it's done all that year's work for is yours. And you can then bake it to crack that starch into fermentable sugar, and then away you go. You just make a beer out of it, essentially, and you distill it just like anything else. And what you get is tequila, and it's very, very much a product of... where it comes from. It's not like vodka where you can distill it out of absolutely anything, and potatoes, beets more often than not, actually, usually vegetable water stuff, wheat, whatever. It's distilled until there's really nothing left, and it's all alcohol. This is distilled, at least in part, pot distilled. I think it's significantly column distilled as well. There's not real hard and fast rules. It's a pretty loose industry, not like Scotch malt whisky at all, or bourbon for that matter. So it's made in a number of different ways, but what you get is something that's very, very characterful of the agave plant itself, and you can smell it right away. Yeah.
What I like about tequila is the relatively short maturation period. A lot of tequila, you get the tequila blanco, white or silver tequila in English, which is the uncoloured and therefore more or less unaged spirit. That's actually my favourite. Despite liking some more mature Scotch, my favourite tequila is the straight-up crystal clear tequila blanco. It has a wonderful, clear, very sharp, punchy, and totally pugnacious white and black pepper hit to it, and I like that a lot. Slightly older, you have your Tequila Reposado, which is the sort of... it has reposed. It's rested for a while, matured for a bit, but less than a year. Beyond a year, you have your Tequila Añejo. It is aged 1 year or more. It's usually more of a much more golden colour. And 3 years plus, which is like the bare minimum for Scotch whisky to be called, in fact, Scotch whisky. But there, 3-year-old tequila is super añejo. And I do actually honestly apologise if I'm mangling the pronunciation of my Spanish.
Well, we do what we can.
Terminology here.
We said we pronounced Blanton's a great many times earlier. Yeah. America, it's still reeling from that, so never mind.
Yeah. El Jimador, that is the Herradura label, right? This way more like...
Yes, well, Herradura is the parent company of El Jimador. This is their sort of budget tequila, really. Right. The Herradura tequila comes in a more sort of a stout square bottle with the customary horseshoe on it, and that will run you significantly more. But this one's my pick. So yeah.
So my tequila of choice normally for accessibility is from Jose Cuervo, the 1800 label, Tequila Blanco.
That's their 100% agave
Yeah.
tequila, and though it's way more expensive than this one, you'd probably say it's a little finer than
About
this one.
80 New Zealand dollars per bottle.
Thereabouts, yeah.
And it's 40% ABV as opposed to, for this one, 38, which is, by our standards, quite low for a
Pretty
spirit.
cheap,
But
yeah.
hey,
So, economies of tequila aside,
Yeah.
this one, the note for me for all tequilas, it's more obvious the younger it is. So it's most dramatic in silver tequila, blanco tequila. It's significantly obvious here, and it becomes less so when the añejo tequilas are older. And that is the distinct smell and taste of white jelly beans.
that is a new one to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
White jelly beans, if you're familiar with them, have it's a sort of a fresh vanilla-y, slightly coconutty almost. It's quite a unique flavour. I say white jelly beans because I have nothing else to make a comparison to. They kind of have their own taste. That's what that's what they remind me of. They're one of these things which tastes like itself and not a great deal else. But that is the primary note I get in tequila. And the younger it is, the more that sort of really sticks out at me.
Whereas my standout flavours for tequila, it's, and again, the younger it is, the stronger it is crunching on a whole peppercorn, black or white pepper.
Certainly black and white
in
pepper
tequila.
in spades in there. And the rest it's a very, very herbaceous thing. It's one of the most herbaceous spirits you can get, I think.
For Reposado or Añejo tequila, like we're doing Reposado here, what are the barrels normally used? Are they ex-bourbon or is it something else entirely?
They're almost exclusively white oak,
Right.
and I don't
virgin
know.
oak, right.
I don't know, but I'd be fairly sure they would use ex-bourbon because they're not bound by law to use anything in particular, and it would seem why not use American ex-bourbon casks because they're just overflowing across the border there. You might as well make use of them. I could be wrong. There could be more stipulations involved there. They might use virgin oak. Who knows? But I would. It would seem sensible to use bourbon casks.
But yeah, good peppery note of the nose.
Yeah.
A little bit tempered by that brief period of maturation, hence the slightly just off-white, slightly pale gold colour.
Certainly. That, I think, gives it just a little lash of vanilla in there as well. And the taste, it's lovely and fresh and distinctly herbal. It's almost completely herbal. The only spices in there, as Dave pointed out, is the black and white pepper, and that's pretty huge. It's a real quite hot pepper. Hot and fresh. Everything else is a mix of sort of leafy, herbal, stemmy almost. A lot of green flavours in a tequila. Which is really what makes it tequila, what makes it special and different.
Yeah, there's good peppery, almost a capsaicin-y edge to that as well, which I really like. It's crisp
and
sharp.
I kind of like it. I don't like the mixed tequilas, the ones that are 51% agave distillate and the other just 49% nonsense, because I think they're raw and thin and for mixing only. And I mean, they're sold for mixing only. No one sits with a bottle of Jose Cuervo and, sips it. They'll be doing shots or margaritas, and that's fine.
Which I think is a terrible waste, because good tequila is as good as any other good spirit. I love a good, well-made tequila, 100% agave.
Truly fine tequilas can be really quite beguiling.
Great for sipping on their own.
Really quite enchanting things. I have had brushes with them. I've been to a couple of sort of company dinners where expensive tequilas have featured on the menu. Because my partner's boss has a penchant for Mexican restaurants, and so I have tried some what is it that makes the Real Tequila 42? I don't know. Someone could post their tequila of choice up there, but I have no guarantees we can find it down here. They're very, very hard to get in New Zealand. It's one of the hardest to find things down here. Is good tequila, especially sort of craft indie tequila, is really, really scarce down here. But
that's right, tequila matures very quickly. You get the product out in a very short space of time, but in that short time, it becomes really very good, and you get some exceptional stuff.
Well,
very
the interesting sort of tequila factoid is we think, well, short space of time in the wood, but the tequila plants take years and years to grow.
Yeah.
They take about 8 years to mature, I think, or longer, depending on where they're growing. If they're growing in some colder, higher areas, which produces better like better flavors.
Which is relatively speaking, this is dealing with
Yeah.
nearly into equatorial.
Oh, pretty much, yeah.
America, yeah.
So tequila's something where the age is on the back end of it, not the front. The age has gone into actually growing these terribly, terribly slow-living plants rather than waiting for it in barrels. So it's, I think, probably silly a lot of people like to lambast tequila for spending such a tiny amount of time in oak versus malt whiskey, but I think that's a bit facetious, because barley only takes a season to grow. I mean, sometimes they get 2 crops of barley out of a season on a good year in Scotland. They certainly manage it here in New Zealand, where we're almost built to grow barley, but it will take almost a decade to nurture a field of agave plants to maturity, and that is where the work and the expense goes in, and the time goes into tequila. So it does spend a long time getting into the bottle and into your glass. It just spends the time in a different place, and I still think that's perfectly relevant.
Yeah.
So
I think if you drink a new make spirit from a Scotch whisky distillery, it is bordering on undrinkable straight up. Whereas this, tequila is a perfectly drinkable and perfectly enjoyable spirit when it's essentially straight out of a still into the bottle. As I say, Tequila Blanco is my favourite kind of tequila. No, that really says something.
Different drinks, both involve many years. The years just go on different ends of the production, I think, and quite interestingly symbiotic in that respect. Lot of parallel there. But anyway, I feel the 10-minute mark creeping up on us here, so we'll let you go. This has been the Single Malt Review's just sort of intermission while we wind down from another hard-working session. We will go back to our work weeks now and have something for you, hopefully, back to business as usual next weekend. All going well, it might be a little expose on the Balvenie. We will see. Sneak preview. Single Malt Review. Here we are.